Hello and welcome to today's episode. Let's begin with a simple question. Why do British people always talk about the weather? If you've ever been to the UK or spoken to someone from Britain, you've probably noticed how quickly the weather comes up in conversation. You say hello, and almost immediately you hear something like, "Bit chilly today, isn't it?" Or, "Lovely day, makes a nice change." But why? Why is weather such a big topic here? Let's take a look at the language, the culture, and the hidden meanings behind all this weather talk. To understand British weather talk, you first need to understand British weather itself. The UK has very unpredictable weather. One moment it's sunny, the next it's pouring with rain. You leave the house in a t-shirt and come home in a jumper with wet socks. A weather forecast might say light showers, but suddenly you're caught in a mini storm. Or it says mostly dry, and somehow that means rain every hour on the hour. Because of this, people in the UK are always prepared. Many carry umbrellas, or at least complain when they forget one. There's also a phrase you might hear, 4 seasons in one day. It means the weather can change so quickly that you might get sunshine, wind, rain, and even hail, all before lunch. So yes, the weather is unpredictable, but that's only part of the story. The real reason people in Britain talk about the weather so much is social. Weather is a safe, polite, and friendly way to start a conversation. It's neutral. It doesn't cause arguments. It works with strangers, neighbors, colleagues, and even with someone at the bus stop. Let's imagine you're standing in a queue. It's raining lightly. A person next to you says, "Typical British summer." You both smile, maybe laugh. That small moment, that shared complaint, helps people feel connected. Or imagine it's finally sunny after a week of rain. You walk into work and someone says, "Nice to see the sun for a change." You respond, "Let's hope it lasts." Congratulations! You've just had a classic bit of British small talk. These little exchanges may seem unimportant, but they're actually quite powerful. They help people feel comfortable. They show politeness without being too personal, and they allow conversations to start without pressure. In fact, you can learn a lot about British communication just by listening to how people talk about the weather. For example, weather talk often includes understatement. Instead of saying, "It's absolutely freezing today," someone might say, "A bit nippy out, isn't it?" Or instead of, "It's raining very hard," they'll say, "Bit wet out there." That's a classic British habit, making things sound softer or smaller than they really are. It's not just about what the weather is like. It's also about what it feels like. You might hear someone say, "It's mild today." That means it's not cold, not hot, just comfortable. Or someone might say, "It's fresh out," which usually means it's cool, but in a nice way. Let's look at some common phrases you might hear. Looks like rain. This doesn't mean it's raining, just that the sky is gray and rain might be coming. Can't make up its mind, can it? This is something people say when the weather keeps changing. Bit of a breeze today. This means it's windy. Again, usually said in an understated way. Scorching, this is used when it's unusually hot. For the UK, that usually means around 28 or 29 degrees Celsius. Anything above that, and people start melting. Another thing to know is that British people often talk about the weather as if it's a person, someone unpredictable, maybe a bit moody. They'll say things like, the weather's playing tricks on us again. Or, it was supposed to be sunny, but you know what it's like? And sometimes they'll just sigh and say, typical, with no explanation, but everyone around them understands they're talking about the rain, or the cold wind, or whatever's happening outside. But here's the funny part. British people often complain about the weather, even when it's nice. If it's cold, they'll say it's freezing. If it's warm, they'll say bit too hot for me. If it's raining, of course, they'll say not again. And if it's been dry for a while, someone might say we could do with a bit of rain. Really? It's not really negativity. It's more like a habit, a national hobby. Complaining about the weather is almost comforting. It gives people something to talk about when they don't know what else to say. And when the sun finally comes out, everyone in Britain suddenly becomes a weather expert. People say things like, it's too hot to sleep, or better make the most of it. Won't last long. You'll also hear jokes like, summer was nice this year, all 3 days of it. And when it's sunny, people really do take full advantage. Parks fill up, people go outside for lunch, there's a sudden increase in ice cream sales, sunburns, and barbecues, even if it's only 20 degrees. Let's talk a bit about vocabulary now. In the UK, raining comes in many different forms. It's not just rain. It could be drizzle, showers, pouring, or tipping it down. Drizzle means light rain, the kind that doesn't seem bad at first, but gets you wet slowly. Showers are short periods of rain, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes. Pouring means heavy, continuous rain. You'll definitely need an umbrella. And if someone says it's tipping it down, that means it's raining very heavily, like buckets of water falling from the sky. You might also hear the phrase, it's bucketing down, or in more informal terms, it's chucking it down. All of these mean one thing. Don't leave the house without a coat. Now, if it's not raining, it might be overcast, which means the sky is completely gray with no sunshine. This is a very common kind of day in Britain. You might also hear muggy, that S when it's warm, but the air feels heavy and a bit uncomfortable, or blustery, a fun word meaning very windy, with sudden strong gusts of wind. And of course, we can't forget the famous British fog. Sometimes it's called mist or haze if it's light, but proper thick fog is rare these days. More common in old stories or films. So how can you join in the conversation? It's easy. Just look outside and say what you see, or how it feels. Something simple like, bit gray today. Lovely sunshine, isn't it? Feels like it might rain. Or even just typical British weather. People will usually smile, agree, and maybe add their own comment. And just like that, you've started a friendly, natural conversation. Even if you don't care much about weather, it is worth learning how to talk about it in English, especially if you're living in the UK or planning to visit, because weather talk isn't really about weather. It's about connection. It's about politeness. And it is about sharing those little daily experiences that help people feel more human and maybe a little less alone on a cold, rainy Monday morning. So next time someone in the UK says, "Can't believe this rain," just smile and say, "Yeah, it's a bit much, isn't it? Congratulations! You've just passed your first test in British conversation." That's all for today. Thanks for joining me as we explored one of the most British topics of all. Wherever you are, I hope the sun is shining. And if not, well, at least now you can talk about it like a local. Until next time, take care, keep dry, and maybe carry a brolly, just in case.